What's up, guys? I have 4 scary stories for you today. You can see 3 of them on the screen. And now we're moving on to the 4th.
I was 12 when kids in my village started disappearing. It wasn't sudden chaos, it was a slow, creeping nightmare, one by one. First Petrick, then Oksana, then little Yuri. No screams, no broken windows, no signs of struggle, just children who went to bed at night and were gone by morning. The village was small, maybe 40 houses, a shop, and a broken down church. Everyone knew each other. You couldn't sneeze without your neighbor commenting on it. So when the first child vanished, people thought maybe he'd wander into the forest. When the second disappeared, they blamed wolves. By the third, nobody believed it was animals. Parents nailed boards across doors and windows. They herded their kids inside before the sun dipped. You could feel fear in the air, like smoke. And the first call, the first time I heard it, I was half asleep. Something pulled me awake, not a noise exactly, more like the feeling of being watched. Then I heard it, a whisper, soft, gentle, right outside my window. Danielle, drawn out, almost like a lullaby. I thought it was my cousin at first playing a prank, but the voice, it was wrong, too smooth, too calm, and it didn't ask, didn't plead, it just waited. Then I saw it, fingers, thin, pale fingers curling slowly over the windowsill. I screamed. My grandmother stormed into the room and yanked me back, her eyes wide, her hand clutching a wooden cross so tightly her skin turned white. She whispered, "Never answer, never go when they call." It's not people. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. The next morning, a boy from the next street was gone. His parents swore they heard him unlock the door after someone called his name. The shadow by the well. After that, we all started seeing it. At first, just glimpses, a tall shape at the edge of the field near the tree line. Then closer, always at night, always watching. By the old well, people said it lingered longest. A tall, stretched figure, cloaked in black, with no face, just standing, waiting. I saw it once myself. The moonlight made the grass silver, and by the well there it was, taller than any man in our village. No face, no eyes, but I swear it turned as if it knew I was watching. My stomach dropped so fast I thought I would faint. Friends who almost went. One night my best friend Tom told me he heard his mom's voice outside. She was calling for him, saying she needed help. He put on his shoes, grabbed the handle of the door, and stopped. Something in his gut told him not to. He didn't open. The next day, Lena disappeared. She was 8. She lived just a few houses away. Later, people whispered they'd heard her door creak open in the middle of the night. After that, nobody trusted the voices anymore, because the thing out there, whatever it was, didn't just whisper your name. It used voices you love. The men go into the forest. Finally, the men had enough. They gathered with axes, rifles, torches. They said they'd find whatever was taking the children. I remember standing by the gate with the other kids, watching our fathers and uncles vanish into the black wall of trees. They came back at dawn. Their faces were pale, hollow. Their clothes smelled like smoke and iron. Nobody spoke a word. When we begged them to tell us what they saw, they refused. The only thing the elder muttered, almost like a warning, was, "Don't go into the forest." Ever. That was it. The disappearances stopped after that night. People wanted to believe it was over, but none of us really believed. The last call. 2 weeks later, I woke again. The whisper returned. Only this time, it wasn't my name. It was my grandmother's. Maria, long careful, almost playful. Her face turned gray, but she didn't move. She pressed a finger to her lips and whispered to me, "Don't look, don't listen, don't answer." The scratching on the door went on for hours, nails dragging slowly across the wood. Sometimes a knock, soft and rhythmic, like a heartbeat. When it finally stopped, I thought I heard footsteps walking away, but not into the fields, into the forest, always into the forest. Now that was 20 years ago. I'm an adult now, living in a city apartment hundreds of miles from that village. I've built a life, convinced myself the past was just superstition. But sometimes, around 3 in the morning, I wake up. The air feels heavy, like the world is holding its breath. And then I hear it, a whisper, low, drawn out, dragging my name like silk. Danielle. I never open the window. I never answer. But I can't stop wondering, what happens to the ones who do? Do they join a shadow in the woods? Do they become the voices that call the next victim? And the worst thought of all, one night when I'm too tired, too weak, maybe I won't resist, maybe I'll answer. The disappearing room, I swear the door wasn't there yesterday. I live in an old apartment building, the kind with peeling wallpaper in the hallways and pipes that rattle whenever someone upstairs runs hot water. I've been here 3 years, knew every creaky and draft, but tonight, coming home from work, I saw it, a narrow, dark wooden door wedged between 3B and 3C. No number, no handle, just there. At first I laughed it off. Maybe I was just exhausted. Maybe the landlord had started a renovation project and forgot to mention it. But when I asked Mrs. Levin from 3C about it, she looked at me like I'd grown a second head. "Переведи русский язык?" "There's no door there," she said flatly. Then she shut her door in my face. I couldn't let it go. That night, lying in bed, I kept replaying it. The grain of the wood, the faint, almost wet smell coming from the seams. At 2 a.m., I got up, grabbed a flashlight, and went back into the hallway. The door was still there. My heart was pounding, but I pressed my hand against it. The wood was warm, not just warm, throbbing, almost like it had a pulse. I should have stopped. I should have gone back to bed, but I knock. Something knocked back. I swear to God, 3 sharp raps, perfectly in time with mine. I stumbled back, nearly dropping the flashlight, and then I heard it, a whisper, a child's voice, muffled like it was behind thick walls. "Help me!" Every instinct screamed to run, but my legs wouldn't move. My little sister disappeared when I was 10, vanished from our backyard without a trace. And in that moment, I thought, what if it's her? I pressed my ear to the wood. The voice was clearer now, a boy this time, crying. More whispers followed, overlapping, rising, until it sounded like dozens of children begging, clawing, scratching from the other side. "Let us out!" The hallway light flickered, buzzing like a dying insect. My flashlight cut out. The door groaned, swelling, as if something behind it was pushing to break free. I bolted back to my apartment, slammed the door, locked it, and sat in the dark until sunrise. The next morning, I convinced myself it was a dream, sleep deprivation, stress. But when I stepped into the hall, the space between 3B and 3C was just smooth wall, no door, no scene, nothing. I almost cried from relief. That was 2 weeks ago. I thought I was safe, but last night I woke up at 3:07 a.m. to the sound of knocking. 3 sharp raps coming from inside my closet. And this time, the whispers didn't beg for help. They just said my name.
I knew something was wrong the moment I heard the knock at 3:14 a.m. Not on my door, though. That was the strange part. It came from the apartment next to mine. The problem? That apartment has been empty for over a year. When I first moved into this old building, apartment 5B was occupied by a middle-aged guy named Tom. He was quiet, a bit odd, but we'd nod at each other in the hall. One night, the paramedics came, and the next day his place was sealed off. The landlord told me he had died in his sleep. Since then, 5B stayed empty. No visitors, no renovations, no sounds. Just silence. So when I heard that knock, clear and deliberate, 3 sharp raps, my whole body froze. I waited, thinking maybe someone was messing around. But then, it came again, louder this time, and then a voice, a woman's voice, low, urgent. "Please, open the door." I sat on my couch, holding my breath. There shouldn't be anyone in there. I wanted to convince myself I was half asleep, imagining things. But then my phone lit up with a notification. Motion detected in the hallway. My building has these old security cameras tied to an app. Shaky black and white footage, but better than nothing. I opened it with trembling fingers. The feed showed the empty hall outside my apartment. Empty, except for a dark shape standing at Tom's old door. The shape was tall, thin, almost distorted, like the pixels couldn't catch its edges, and it was just knocking, slowly, over and over. I should have called the cops right then. I know that, but something in me whispered not to. It wasn't just fear, it was dread. Like if I involved anyone else, it would only get worse. So instead, I turned off the phone, crawled into bed, and pulled the covers over my head like a child. Eventually, the knocking stopped. The next day, I tried to brush it off. Stress, maybe a glitch on the camera feed. But when I stepped into the hallway, I noticed something I couldn't explain. The door to 5B, sealed for months, covered in dust, was clean. Not just clean. The dust was disturbed in a perfect handprint. Over the next week, the knocking became routine. Always after 3 a.m., always the same voice, sometimes pleading, sometimes angry. Once, it whispered my name. I started losing sleep. My eyes were bloodshot, my hands shaky. At work, my boss asked if I was drinking again. I wasn't. I just couldn't get more than an hour or 2 of rest without jolting awake at the sound of that damn knocking. Then, one night, I made the mistake of answering. Not with words. Just, I knocked back. 3 taps, exactly like theirs. The silence that followed was so thick it felt like the air had been sucked from the hallway. And then, slowly, with a groan of wood and rust, the door to 5B creaked open. I swear to God, it opened. I didn't see anyone step out. No shadow, no figure. Just a yawning blackness, deeper than the hallway should have allowed. My flashlight beam didn't even reach the end. It just got swallowed. Then the smell hit me. Damp earth, rot, something old and wet, like a basement that had been sealed for decades. And in the dark, dozens of whispers rose at once. Children, men, women, overlapping, begging, mocking, crying. My name was buried in there too, twisted and stretched. I slammed my own door shut so hard a picture frame fell off the wall. I locked every bolt and chain, shoved a chair under the knob, and sat there all night shaking. The next morning, when I finally dared to check, the hallway looked normal again. The door to 5B was closed, sealed, like it had never moved. But that wasn't the end. Last night, something changed. I woke up at 3:14, sharp, not to knocking, but to the sound of my own door unlocking. Click, click, one lock at a time. I couldn't move. I just lay there, listening, heart hammering so hard it hurt. The final lock slid open and my door creaked inward. I expected to see a shadow, a figure, something from the hall, but there was nothing. The doorway was empty. And then, from the darkness of my living room, a whisper. We let ourselves in now. I don't remember what happened after that. I must have blacked out because I woke up on the floor as sunlight filled the room. My door was locked again, like nothing had happened. But tonight, It's already 2:50 a.m. I don't know if I should stay awake or if that makes it worse.
I should have turned back the moment I saw the shoe. It was a little pink sneaker, half buried in mud, the laces torn. 3 kids had gone missing from our town that week. The police said they were searching, but everyone knew they'd stopped going deep into the forest years ago. Too many strange reports, too many officers who came back shaken and refused to talk. I'm not a cop, just a volunteer who couldn't sit by while kids vanished. My little sister went missing when I was 10, and no one ever found her. Maybe that's why I went in. The forest felt wrong the second I crossed the tree line. The air was heavy, damp, carrying a metallic smell like rust. Every branch creaked as if watching me. About a mile in, I found the sneaker. And next to it, small footprints pressed into the mud, going deeper into the woods. I followed. The deeper I went, the quieter it got. No birds, no insects, just my own footsteps and the sound of something else, far off, moving when I moved, stopping when I stopped. I called out, "Hello? Kids? It's safe, I can help you." No answer, only rustling leaves. Then I heard it, laughter, high-pitched, like a child's giggle. It came from the left. I ran toward it, crashing through branches, heart pounding. There, between the trees, I saw a small figure, a boy, maybe 7. He was standing perfectly still, facing away from me. "Hey, it's okay, I'm here to help," I shouted. He didn't move. I stepped closer, hand out. That's when he turned his head, just his head, rotating far too far, until it was backward. The face wasn't right. The mouth stretched wide, too wide, and the eyes were pits of black. The thing smiled at me. I stumbled back, choking on air. My instincts screamed to run, but the ground felt like it was pulling me down. Behind me, I heard more laughter. Dozens of voices, children and adults mixed, circling. Branches snapped. Figures moved in the dark, crouched and long-limbed, their bodies twisting like they didn't belong to them. Some mimicked cries for help. Others whispered my name. I forced myself to keep moving, clutching the flashlight like a weapon. The beam flickered, barely cutting the dark. At one point, I came across a clearing. In the center stood an old swing set, rusted, covered in moss. It swayed, though there was no wind. On one of the swings sat a little girl. Blonde hair, pink dress. She looked exactly like the photo I'd seen of one of the missing kids. I rushed forward. But before I could reach her, her skin rippled like water, melting into something else. Her arms elongated, bones cracking, and she dropped to the ground on all fours, sprinting into the trees with a scream that wasn't human. That's when I realized. These things weren't just hunting the kids, they were becoming them. I don't know how long I ran after that. The forest twisted, every tree the same, every path leading deeper instead of out. My lungs burned, my legs shook, but the voices followed me. Sometimes it was my sister's voice, sometimes it was my own. Finally, I burst into another clearing. In the dirt was a circle of shoes, children's shoes, dozens of them. Some looked brand new, some looked decades old. I dropped to my knees, sobbing. That's when the whispers surrounded me. Stay. Stay with us. I don't remember getting out. One second I was on the ground. The next I was stumbling onto the road at dawn, covered in mud. The police found me, but not the kids. They said I was hallucinating from exhaustion. But last night, when I closed my eyes, I heard that laughter again. And this morning, outside my door, there was a little pink sneaker. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments which story creeped you out the most.